side by side at the microphone, from the green light to the speed trap. Ray Garino and Joe D calls them as they sees them, and you better believe them. Hear relevant news, biased opinion, and outright nonsense regarding every aspect of automotive culture. Gas with mechanical trickery never before broadcast over FCC-regulated airwaves. Thrill to the explosive tension as Ray and Joe cuss each other down track, barrel roll across the finish line, laughing at certain disaster as they shake hands with the devil. All that and so much more at high noon this Sunday on the Motormouth Radio Hour. Call in and speak live with the Wizards of Speed and the Live Eat, Ray Garino and Joe D. Bring the whole family. Kids under 12 get in free every Sunday at noon on WHPC. Take the Hempstead Turnpike to the Meadowbrook Parkway and look for the no parking on the expressway and no express service on the Parkway sign. Go right on Highway 24 to Garden City. $2 all-day parking includes pit pass.
All right, radio silence has been broken. You've tuned into Motormouth Radio, Long Island's only automotive talk show, with your hosts, Ray Guarino and Chris Switzer. And this is, 'tis the season to keep your nose clean, folks. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. Chris knows what I mean. But before we get into that, let's do our intros and say hi to everybody. Chris,
how are you, Ray? You looking good today? You got the hair doing, the hairdo looks very good. You're starting to sport that Wayne Newton look, which is very cool.
No, I call it the Patty Duke. I have a Patty Duke flip. I've gotten it since I was like 12 years old. Nothing I can do about it except cut it.
I had my wife buzz the back of my head, just a horseshoe, with the buzzer right in the backyard. Just a horseshoe here. Anyone that can view this meeting will understand. But yes, that's things have been good. Other than the fact that I just want to bring this up before we introduce our guest, I have bolts falling out of my chair.
Nice.
What is the problem here? Why do I have bolts falling out of my chair? There's a bolt.
You got a fat ass and you jump up and down a lot. I don't know. I don't know. You better get yourself a socket set and tighten that up. Do a little Archie Bell and the Drells on it. A little tighten up.
Do a little tighten up.
We were talking about that on Thursday night. Speaking about Thursday night, on the Planet Traffic show that I like to play on every week when I can try to stay awake. One of the other regulars, of course, is our good friend Chassis John from down in Florida, who's with us today. John, thanks for coming on with us.
How are you, my brother?
I'm very well. How's it going up there?
Excellent day.
We're good. Doing well. And right about now, it's like you seem to be the man that's spinning the wrenches between the three of us.
I'm getting it done. It's been a long time. I took way too long on the first job. And my wife...
What was the first job?
The first job was a 67 Camaro, custom Camaro.
Right.
It was a frame-off, custom chassis, a gigantic horsepower, 632 cubic inch engine that runs on 93 octane gas and still manages to make over 830 horsepower.
Wow.
Holley fuel injection, custom digital gauge package, custom interior, you name it. This car had it, and I took just way too long to take care of getting this thing done. I'm a lazy guy. A lot going on.
What did you say? I interrupted you about your wife. You said, what is your wife?
This newest project was instituted by my wife, and she's like, you need to get on it and get it done because you got another one right behind it that's been sitting around waiting.
Ooh, yeah, we've talked about that for a while. The Camaro, of course, you were doing for a while, and now that's gone. It's out of the garage.
Camaro's gone. It's back in Pennsylvania. It was picked up this weekend.
Wow.
Right.
And the week before, we went up to Georgia. A friend of mine told me about a 79 Firebird that was sitting around for a real cheap price and had an awful lot of extra parts and a brand new 454 big block with turbo 400 transmission, a perfect project car.
Mm-hmm.
So what wound up happening is I showed it to my wife, and she was like, let's go get it. And I'm
what a good woman.
What a great woman.
Good woman. I like this.
I was like, why? I said, I have one waiting in the wings.
Yeah.
And then she brought up the story about how the original half-breed was converted after a rear-end collision by a drunk into an 81 body by changing the nose and changing the quarter panels and taillight panel.
So had, what year was the
original car is a 1970 Formula 400 Firebird.
Right.
Like I said, I built it in various stages. Its final stage was a pro street style car with narrowed rear, high 8-second car, and still street driven on the roads of Long Island. And then it wound up, getting in an accident by a drunk.
Okay.
We converted it at that time. I was young and dumb. And this is 1982. And I said to my body guy, well, since you got to change the rear body panel and the rear and one quarter panel, how hard is it to just put new stuff on?
Make it look newer.
The 1981. And he was like, well, it's not a problem. Let's do it.
I'm picturing this car. I'm picturing it. So you had the front, it's a 75, but you had the front of an 81 and the rear of an 81.
On that car, yes.
On that car.
I took the original steel and Endura rubber front nose off the car completely. So what original is still on that car, literally, is, a couple of owners have had it since I sold it. So there's pieces of the original firewall and cowl are there.
Right.
It still has the original front frame that's had some modifications done to be able to handle, high speeds.
Sure.
And my back half that I put in it. And the roof. So the roof, the rocker panels, the front of the floor, your footwells for the floor and part of the firewall, and the front frame are all vintage 1970.
So it doesn't have the wraparound rear window.
It does.
Oh, it does. 70 had a straight rear window.
The difference in the window between what they call the fastback and the opera window is actually the way the quarter panels are built. That seam where the roof panel's the same on all Firebirds and Camaros, second gen, from 1970 to 1981. It's the same roof.
But they changed the rear glass.
They changed the rear glass because they allowed the quarter panel to have a window opening that drops lower and then comes across.
Okay.
So the seam where GM used to actually lead the quarter panel and the roof together, that seam is the same from 70 to 81. It's just the actual quarter panel has a slightly different opening for a larger window.
Got it.
So that's the difference. Now, something that a lot of people don't know, the front fenders. General Motors made a boatload of money. The fenders, whether it's a Firebird or a Trans Am, are absolutely identical fenders from 1970 through 1981. The only change is in 71, there was a little vent behind the wheel.
For the Trans Am.
The Trans Ams all have that large vent at the upper part.
Mm-hmm.
And then 71s had this like weird little louvered rectangle thing. But that's it. But physically, the way they bolt on, the way they meet the door, and the front of the nose is identical whether your car is a 70 or an 81. There's no change.
Wow.
So now this next project, which has stepped in front of rebuilding the Trans Am, the 81, this is a 79 Firebird. Which is, I'm gutting it now, and it's going to my friend's body shop in about a week or two. And he's going to be hanging brand new 1970 rear quarter panels, rear body panel. So we've converted a 70 to an 81, and now we're converting a 79 back to a 70. I'll be putting a 70 nose cone on the steel fenders that are on this. So what's going to happen is we are literally recreating my first Pro Street Firebird, and then we're redoing the second one, which is I sold in 1992. It's been through 4 other owners. It's kind of a basket case. That's getting a full-on upgrade. I'm putting a complete tube chassis in that car. That's going to be a project. But it will literally be like a 7-second street-legal car.
Wow.
Whereas the 70, we're not going to make that a fast car. It's a relatively stock motor. It's going to be a driver that looks like it goes 9s.
Right.
And it'll be super nice. So, yeah, we're swapping back and forth.
I need a scorecard here.
Yeah,
I'm confused.
You do.
Pretty crazy. But this 79 to 70 build, it'll be pretty easy to do.
Sure.
Because it'll have the stock front frame. We'll put, it's got a ladder bar back half in it, which is pretty horribly done. So that's going to come out. Mm-hmm. I'm going to put a 4-link back half with like 3 bent rails. Real simple stuff. And we're actually going to take the rear end, the narrowed rear that's in the 81, and that's going to be fitted to this car because the 81 is going to wind up getting a sheet metal housing, like real more modern pro mod style type of housing.
Well, you know what, John? Let me. I think I can maybe clarify for Chris. Chris, do you remember that picture you saw of Dina Parisi's rear end?
Wow.
There was a picture she shared of her rear end that we all were in awe of, and it was a sheet metal rear end for her race cars.
Yeah.
And Chris made a deal out about seeing Dina Parisi's rear end. So, just saying.
She's going to appreciate this. Yeah. We're all admiring her rear end. It's very nice.
Yeah. The sheet metal...
how can I forget that picture? Go right ahead.
The sheet metal fabricated rears are 100% fabricated out of chrome moly sheet steel. They're kind of diamond shaped. It's got a lot of folds. They're inherently stronger design. It's still based on a 9-inch Ford rear end.
So we can say that your rear end will probably look as good as Dina Parisi's rear end. Does that go without saying?
It'll be nice.
That's a possibility.
It'll be nice. We'll see how it looks in a pair of tight jeans, though. Now we'll decide. But that's the thing, that they took a Ford rear end design and basically like gusseted the hell out of that, which just made it even more bulletproof. So, that's the way to go. So, John, I think one of the most interesting things about the 81 build is, it's great the history that you built it and then you set records with it, got in magazines, did the whole thing, got it back, which is the success story. But the interesting thing to me is what condition it was in when you got it back. What was changed from what you did.
Oh, boy.
And you know what? Let me throw this out there so that if anybody wants to ask a question about it, they can do that. You can call us at 516-256-9510 and ask John a question about his builds. So I'm looking forward to the videos, the YouTube videos that I'm going to keep bugging you about to put up.
Once that one gets started.
Because you said you were going to show the difference in like the parts that were in it and what you're going to put in it.
If anybody is on Facebook, they can go to 2 of my pages. There's one devoted specifically to the Firebird, and that's called Half Breed, 2 words, The Resurrection. And if you drill down on that page through the photo section, you will see before photos and then photos of us actually deconstructing the car. And there's a bunch of posts that show some of the garbage that I've actually pulled out of the car to this point to get it to an empty shell.
Yeah.
There was some good old plumbing black pipe with fittings used to support a gas pedal.
Oh,
not
God.
My work, and the welding looks like bird turds. Yeah. Whoever was welding it doesn't understand how to turn up the heat on their MIG welder. There was
or how to turn on the gas.
Horrible stuff. Wires going through sheet metal with just a little bit of like silver silicone around it to insulate it instead of using a grommet. You wouldn't believe it. There was galvanized sheet metal put in place on the firewall, and somebody had this bright idea I had used stock pedals in that car And it wasn't a problem because the driver's seat really was in the stock location. So they decided to get rid of the stock pedals and go to a set of aftermarket, Willwood racing type pedals. And that uses a completely different master cylinder that has a bolt pattern of one bolt on top of another, as opposed to GM is sideways.
Right.
So they built an adapter plate out of a piece of tread plate aluminum, diamond plate aluminum.
Yeah.
And when they drilled the holes, they didn't measure properly. So they took a file and hogged out one hole and made it into an oval.
Beautiful.
It's just really, really bad stuff. Yeah. Horrible stuff.
John, I got to ask you, because I have absolutely, I always say I have, I feel really nothing for vehicles at times. It's like I buy them and sell them. There's no tradition in my soul for a lot of cars. What made you buy it back and not just take that slow walk back, that slow walk away and go, I'm not touching this thing? Really, was the tradition that strong? Was the
Trust
feelings?
me, it was a combination of both. Being from Long Island, owning Chassis Connection race cars for 27 years or so, and just being a car guy, and then moving on and getting into a completely different business, has nothing to do with cars, and coming here to Florida. And then literally within a few years, so many people that were in my racing circle wound up living within miles of me. I moved to Florida, to this little known town outside of Tampa, and all of a sudden I'm running into people. And I'm like, well, there's no hiding here.
Yeah.
And they're all car guys. And one by one, they're either buying like a new sporty type of car, or they're finding a project and doing something, or maybe they brought the car that they had in New York or New Jersey with them.
Wow.
So Barb was like, well, you're going to the drag strip again. You're hanging around with all the, she calls all my racing friends dirtbags. She said, you really should do something. Why not do something, So I was like, well, okay. She goes, whatever happened with that black car? I'm like, I don't know. She goes, well, the
black car was the first
it,
one. The first one that you had. Okay.
Which was, the end of it at the time. And
right.
She says, well, Steve lives here in Florida. You've seen him before. Ask him. So I called my buddy Steve. He's like, nah, I have no clue. I know the car got auctioned off, and I haven't seen it in years. So we started posting photographs on various websites and different pages on Facebook.
Right.
And the two of us, our jaws dropped. There were literally hundreds and hundreds of replies. And
really?
They were people that some that I know, well, actually a lot that I know, but a lot of people I have never had contact with, that they were like, that car got me into fast street legal drag racing.
Wow.
That car was one of my favorite cars. We never met, but I've seen you hundreds of times at various tracks on the East Coast.
That's awesome.
I love the fact that you had a car that literally was very respectable at the drag strip, running in the high 8-second zone, yet on a Friday night, you could drive that car to Burger King.
Wow.
So there was so much enthusiasm that we started really searching for the car. And then little by little, people started saying, well, I saw that car in Chicago. And I'm like, that's where it was sold to originally. Then other people were like, well, I saw that car in Ohio. I saw that car in Indianapolis. I saw that car in Dallas, Texas. I've seen that car in Pennsylvania, but I haven't seen it in a few years.
Right.
And a lot of people said Pennsylvania. And then one day, a guy named Joe that used to work for me at the chassis shop called me up and said, hey, there's a guy in Pittsburgh says he owns that car. Go on this page and message him.
Right.
So turned out to be this nice guy, Rocco, and he sent me photos, and there it was with the original paint job, the whole deal. It was the car.
And you knew exactly that it was the car.
There was no way around it. And then he sent me a recent photo. He goes, well, he said that lacquer paint job was starting to haze and crack. And I told him back, I said, well, that paint job was put on in 1982. He goes, oh, well, then that's an awesome paint job.
Exactly.
Because it's just starting to fall apart now.
Yeah, right.
So he said, I stripped the car. He goes, and I was really amazed that there's no body work on that car. I said, no, everything was done in metal.
Right.
So he was getting ready to paint it. So right now it's a semi-gloss, like a grayish black primer. And it's actually kind of ready for paint, but I'm making a lot of other changes. I bought a brand new fiberglass nose for the car because the old nose has been around since '82, and the fiberglass just doesn't really last. And then back in '82, there was only one company that was making those one piece with removable hood noses, and it's very heavy street glass, and it's just not right for what I want to do now. And they've modernized, and they've been able to lighten things up. And the new nose was just delivered a couple of weeks ago. It weighs 13 pounds.
The whole nose?
For the whole nose, yeah. And the hood weighs another 5.5 or 6.
Holy smokes.
And I didn't even go for the carbon fiber option because it's not a race car. I don't need all of that weight loss.
Right.
But it's the old nose weighs somewhere in the vicinity of about 60 pounds. So it's a huge difference in weight.
Sure is.
And it's because, the techniques have changed too. The other one was made with a chop gun, multiple layers. This one is actually made with cloth, and it's vacuum bagged, which pulls the resin back out. So you have 100% of your webbing is getting saturated, but you don't have the extra weight of the fiberglass resin just hanging around, drying up.
That's nice.
That's
So it's beautiful, beautiful piece. It's a company called VFN out in Addison, Illinois.
And the detail is there.
The detail's amazing.
VFN, man, very effing nice.
Yes.
That's for sure.
So, John, let me ask you,
Great story, John.
In which state did Rube Goldberg live in who did all those crappy modifications?
Well, it certainly wasn't in Chicago because Steve took the car as is and ran it. Right. So it had to be whoever had it next, and then the guy after that, and the guy after that. So people made changes.
Yeah, I always, we've talked about this for months on end, and I'm always wondering, like, why would you take something that works, that's done right, and make it crap? Like, why would you even think to do that? I can't imagine.
Well, here's the story that I get, and I can kind of believe this, is, Rocco, the last owner, told me that he bought it. It was a body with 4 tires.
Wow.
No engine, no transmission, no plumbing, no wiring. This was just a body on wheels.
It was just a roller.
Now, we're talking about when Steve Johnson got the car from me and took it to Tennessee to run in the very first Hot Rod Magazine Fastest Streetcar Shootout. That's where the car got really famous. It ran 852 at about 175 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's impressive.
And that was with a 615 cubic inch single 4-barrel Scott Shafarov engine.
Gotta love running at sea level.
So, yeah. Memphis, Tennessee's humid, horribly humid.
Yeah.
But the car ran real fast. There was some issues with the actual owner, the team owner that Steve drove for, and there was some other kind of problems. And the car wound up in a federal auction, let's just say. So it was turnkey. After that is most likely when things started falling off the car.
Right.
The guy that got it, I don't know what price he paid to the government for it. But at one point he decided he was going to sell it. So did he take that 615-inch engine out?
Yeah.
Did the next guy put something else in? So down the road, it got to that point where it was literally just a body that Rocco got. So then he stuck a motor in it and did plumbing and wiring and took it to the track. The car had gutted stock steel doors with removable Lexan windows when I owned it. When I got it back, it had one steel door and one fiberglass door. And the reason it had a steel door was because when Rocco took it to the drag strip, one of the doors literally flew off the car and disintegrated. So he had a Firebird door, a junker, sitting in the rafters, and he bolted that on for me. So the car came down here with two doors. Right. But both of them are garbage. Both of them are going to get thrown in a dumpster. I'm going back to real doors because this time around, I'm not building it as a race car.
Yeah.
I'm going back to stock steel doors, and I'm actually putting power windows in it and aftermarket air conditioning. I don't care.
It's because it's what I've just realized about you, John. You just like to be punished. You're just a masochist at heart here. You just like to just torture yourself.
Well, it's so easy to get doors today. You just go right to the parts place and you buy complete doors, and then you put the guts in.
Yeah.
So
all you had to do is follow this Camaro build to know about John's self-hate.
Yeah, that can be seen on the other page.
Which page is that, John?
That's Chassis, CHASSIS Connection Race Cars on Facebook, and it's called the Killa, KILLA Camaro. Also on this page, you will see a video of me starting to take apart the Firebird, and literally hundreds of photos of cars that we built through the years in Chassis Connection, and a whole bunch of stuff on this Camaro.
Yeah.
I must admit, the car you're talking about, your first one I love the provenance that it has acquired throughout its drag racing career. I think that's fantastic. And you totally turned me around.
Here's the best part.
What?
That car was never re-registered and insured for street use.
Oh, wow.
So literally,
you're kidding.
Literally, I bought that car in 1977 from my best friend's older brother. I'm the only one that's ever registered and insured that car since 1977. In 1992, when I handed it over to Steve Johnson and his team, I handed them the paperwork for the car.
Sure.
It never saw the street. Was never registered in Chicago, was never insured. The other people that have owned it, we were able to contact one of them. He was like, no. He said the same thing that the last owner, Rocco, said. He ran the VIN number, and the VIN number comes up as a 1970 Firebird.
Right, sure.
Yet, when you look at this car, it's a 1981 in 100% respect. You cannot tell that this car has been...
I was just saying...
It's not an 81, so Rocco thought this car was a chop job.
I was just thinking it was pretty interesting when you said the story earlier that the feds never picked up on that.
Which... Yeah.
He had the car, right?
Yep.
You can call it a legit chop job.
Yeah. I mean, auto crimes guys that we know, they're all over that stuff. Yeah.
For the time that I was actually using the car on the street, my registration said 1970 Pontiac.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what it says in New York. It actually said P-O-N-T-I, Ponti.
Right.
Ponti.
Yeah.
Actually, I think my registration is just P-O-N-T. They might have changed that.
It's never been changed. So literally, this car went north, and then it went through the Midwest, came back to Pennsylvania, and now when I go to register it here in Florida, I spoke to DMV, and there's actually a sheriff station in there, and I explained to him the story.
Oh, what did he say?
No. This was really good. I said, I can get paperwork for lost title and registration out of New York and then have them do the legwork. Mm-hmm. He goes, you don't have to bother with that. I'm like, why? He goes, just come here with a picture of the VIN number. He goes, and we'll run it. He goes, and we'll know that you were the only person that registered it. He says, and we'll see if it's a stolen vehicle or not. He says, but I highly doubt that. He goes, and we'll just issue you a Florida title. You don't have to worry about anything.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah. So looking through the rules in Florida, I've come to with the impression that you could basically put a top fuel funny car on the street here if it has lights and a horn.
Nice.
Florida is very, very relaxed. There's a whole bunch of categories that you could fit a car into, a home built, a replica, and they give you the description. You could literally build your own, like say you wanted to build a Corvette, you could build your own Corvette and get a title for it, even though you're using Chevrolet parts.
Yeah.
There's about 7 or 8 different categories. Plus the car also falls into the antique realm because it's a 1970. So pretty wild stuff.
Nice.
That is amazing. That is totally amazing.
So what else is amazing? We're going to take our bottom of the hour break and regroup. If you want to get us after that, the number is 516-256-9510. And before we get to Chris, I have something that's new to the show this week, Chris.
Okay.
I have the dishonor group of the hour.
Oh, boy.
Chris does the honor group of the hour that we sometimes forget what it's called, but
and the honor group of the hour is the people that we kind of celebrate every week. The honor group, we celebrate these people.
Yeah, these guys I'm not celebrating.
Okay,
a little backstory. Since I've been driving a lot recently on the parkways in Long Island and Queens, and mostly into Queens, and I've been, you know, it's like I'm getting a little pissed off. So.
Driving on the highways in Long Island and Queens, and you're getting pissed off. Interesting.
It's not the highways. It's just the traffic. You know me. You know me in traffic.
You don't like traffic.
They don't go together.
No, and why you're in the vicinity you're in is beyond me. But go right ahead.
And I have noticed a few drivers doing this. And my dishonor group of the hour are these middle-aged, and I use the term loosely because they call us middle-aged. We're not middle-aged. We're not going to live to be 130. You know, we're like... We're past middle age, let's face it.
Fossils.
So I'll say middle-aged and older guys who drive trucks, pickup trucks. A lot of them are work trucks, and they put loud exhausts on them.
Yeah.
I was behind a guy just the other night on the Northern State at the Grand Central, and this guy had this obnoxiously loud exhaust, and he's on and off the throttle because we're in traffic. And I'm thinking, you son of a jumping mother seahorse. I said, it's probably because this guy thinks, hey, that exhaust going to remind me of that Camaro, my fast street Camaro I had back in high school, which was a piece of crap and couldn't get out of its own way.
Just remember, he paid money to have it sound like that.
Yeah, but because he thinks but you see, I go further with this. I go back 40, 50 years because he thinks his high school car was fast and it wasn't. He wants his work truck to sound the same way. So he puts a freaking, goes for a ball of exhaust on it. It's like, get out of my face. The dishonor group of the hour are those guys who grow up or move out. So
I love it.
Now we have, of course, the honor group of the hour.
Yes, of course, to bring you back. to get
that one.
Exactly. to get the crotchety old man out of Ray's system. The Motormouth Radio honor group of the hour today is if you leave a trail of grease stains and dirt marks throughout the house when you come in from the garage, okay? Do you have dirt marks on the door? Do you have oil tracks on the floor? Hey, what's that stain on the cat? Well... if your house needs to be fumigated every time you come in from the garage, you're part of the Motormouth Radio honor group of the hour.
Nice. That's a
Wonderful.
Good one. All right. So listen, we're going to take our break right now. We'll play a couple of spots, take care of some business, and we will be back with Chassis John, Ray Guarino, and Chris Switzer, and we'll talk more on Motormouth Radio. Keep it where you got it on 90.3 WHPC. This show on 90.3 WHPC is brought to you by CarStar Celebrity Chase Collision, with 2 locations in Lynbrook and Oceanside, who remind you that New York State law says you always have the right to choose which shop you want to have your car fixed at. CarStar Celebrity Chase Collision offers a full range of services: 24-hour towing between Montauk and Manhattan, shuttle service, and they can help you with a rental car arrangement if needed. And yes, se habla español. More information is available by calling 516-593-0920 or visiting online at celebritychasecollision.com.
Shake off the realities of the day, broaden your musical horizons, and embrace the diversity every Monday afternoon at 5 for 2 hours of revelations. The show offers a potently unique collection of music with an emphasis on themes and rock rarities, an occasional tour de force of blues and soul, mixed with compelling sets of folk and folk rock. I'm Steve K, and I've got the perfect soundtrack for your drive home every Monday afternoon at 5 on Revelations, right here on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Whoa. These guys are the kings of rock. There is none higher. So cool.
Back with Motormouth Radio, Long Island's only automotive talk show here on Long Island with Ray Guarino, Chris Switzer, and the only guy who has a lipstick red dishwasher, Chassis John from Florida.
I don't have a lipstick red dishwasher.
You said that Thursday night. What do you mean?
No, it's that Mix Master that I bought for my daughter.
I can swear you said dishwasher. All right, the only man that has, rewind the tape, the only man that has a lipstick red Mix Master, Sir Mix-a-Lot in lipstick red, Chassis John.
Yes.
Wow. That's good.
I could have sworn you said dishwasher.
Oh.
All right.
Wow.
She's a semi-professional baker, so we bought her the monster mixer, and those mixers come in various colors.
That explains why how you keep your svelte figure.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
That's hysterical. No, I had to just run outside and take off the huge stacks off my pickup truck. The ones that blow the black smoke out like an 1800s locomotive. I had to go and
I love those guys. I love those guys with pickup trucks that will literally cut a 6-inch hole in the bed.
Yeah,
and then bring a set of stacks up. Yeah, and the guy's he's driving Ram 1500 or something.
Right. See, that I could deal with the diesel with the stacks because it's got a different sound and it's above me. But here I am. These guys are driving Rays. Silverados, 1500s, or they got Ford XLTs or whatever, and those are a little taller trucks. And I'm driving a regular sized car right now.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like at ear level, and it's like in traffic, it's just that on off. I'm like, dude, stop. I mean, give me a big block with a set of Flowmasters or a set of Dynaflows. Like, I'm on board with you. I got it. That's cool. But this guy's piece of crap pickup, dented, nails flying out of it. It's a work truck.
I hate to tell you, when I'm in the house, I'm working from home now, and I'm on a street that literally gets maybe 3 cars a day. You don't get a lot of, and sometimes you'll get some work trucks, and you can always tell, and Ray, you know this, and I'm sure, John, you're totally into this. When you hear something come up the road, you know what it is just by the sound of it.
Yes.
And there's some guys some car guys around here, and they glide past my house because they know I have something in the garage too. And of course, car guys are naturally curious with whatever you have in your garage. And my garage can be seen from the road if the door is open, obviously. So you can see what's in there. And guys have gone by. I've spoken to them. I've spoken to some guys. So you kind of delineate what sounds pretty good and what you can tell is a work truck. But there's one UPS truck that always fakes me out. And I always feel like I'm like, what kind of car guy am I? I'm sitting in the house, I'm working, all of a sudden you hear blah, 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 coming down the block. And I'm like, what is that? Like, I lean out the window, and there goes Mr. Brown. He's this UPS truck, this big old box truck. And I'm thinking, he's got something in there. He's got to have something in there.
Yeah, it was
something up with that thing.
It was a delivery of mufflers that didn't go to their intended purpose, and he jacked one and threw it on the bottom of his truck.
Exactly. I'm thinking to myself, this guy's got that thing hopped up. There's something in there.
Yeah.
And I want to stop him.
Right.
I know there's something under that hood. He always fakes me out every
just
time.
The muffler, just the right muffler.
I got a guy in the neighborhood. He's got a black Ferrari, and I love when he comes down the block. I can hear him literally when he turns the corner. It's like, oh, there's the Ferrari again. And I look up, zoom, there he goes. Yeah. It's like, you instantly know.
Listen, that's just because he's playing My Way on the Blaupunk stereo with like 800 watts. Come on. It's like John. I was telling somebody, I don't remember who, how Thursday night John and I gave an impromptu lesson to Coverman Terry, and to Louis Lee about how to say Italian food names.
Okay, that must have been a joy.
Because these guys, they kind of had it wrong, so we kind of schooled them, and they both decided they want to come up here to eat now.
Who can blame them?
Lasagna.
I tell you, and John can definitely speak with me on this, I'm sure. I miss New York food, and I'm only 60 miles away.
Yeah.
I miss it. I really do. The pizza here in the Nutmeg State, yeah. And there are people that are saying there are Italians in New Haven. I'm like, come on, Italians in New Haven, really?
Oh yeah, we went there for pizza. Me and the Mikes went there for pizza last year.
Yeah.
There's a Little Italy in New Haven.
Uh-huh.
Yes,
it's right after Yale. Right after Yale University, there's a whole Little Italy, and the food is to die for.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm not far from New Haven, so it's
worth the trip. One of
those excursions, I guess. Okay.
We went up to the restoration place that does all the Chevelle and Camaro and stuff. We're getting stuff for the 71 Chevelle, ground up.
Okay.
We went up there, and on the way back, one of the trips was, hey, we got to go down to New Haven. Like, all right, do I have to ask why? Like, I don't care. Let's go. I'm in the back seat. I'll go wherever. I'll follow you. And they said, no, we got to go to these pizza places. And we did it twice because we went to two different places on two different days.
Really?
And, great. Good stuff. Yes.
Yeah, the pizza's like a little lacking around where I am. No one here in my little sleepy town of Trumbull likes any food hot. They don't like spicy food.
Oh, really?
Which I don't get. I'm sitting in a Thai restaurant. This was, before we had to wear masks. I'm sitting in a Thai restaurant, and people are like, oh, no, we don't want the hot stuff. We don't want the hot stuff. I'm like, you're in a Thai restaurant. Grow up.
Yeah. Right.
So anyway, I digress.
Our good friend Al, Jeep and Al, had said that he asked his UPS guy what was in the truck, and he says it's a big 6.0. It's a high horsepower GM 6-liter engine.
Oh, okay. So it does have some chutzpah. That's nice. Because I hear it, and he always fakes me out. And now I'm starting to go, is that the UPS truck, or is that something hot? What is that?
Right.
I never thought I was going to make that statement, ever.
Wow.
A statement a car guy never makes. Was that the UPS, or was that something fast? It is.
Right. I know.
These days, fast can be quite quiet, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, that's for sure. It sure can. So what's going on, John, with that Firebird? The Firebird you have now, I'm going to check my scorecard here. The Firebird you have in the garage that's under the fluorescent lights.
2 right now.
There's 2 Firebirds in the garage.
There's the 81, which will be a custom build with a tube chassis. Put it back out on the street.
Right. What's behind you now that I can see?
Directly behind me is the 79, destined to morph into a 1970.
That's the one that's good. That's the one you're really going to bite into that canker sore and really hurt yourself.
This is the easier build.
Oh, putting power windows in a vehicle.
Power window, no big deal. I already have the kit for this car.
Forget the power windows. John had trouble getting the freaking windshield out.
Yeah, you're right.
Started already.
Oh my God. What General Motors use? Obviously, the windows that are the front and back, all the windows, all 4 of them, are the original windows.
Right.
And I know they made a change. Back when my car was built, they used that butyl rubber. Right. Which comes on a roll, which you can get from a glass place.
Right.
Mm-hmm. You lay it out in the track and you slap the window on it, give it a little bit of pressure. It's a done deal. It always stays relatively soft. So when you have to remove the windshield, you use a regular butyl windshield removal cutter. Mm-hmm. You tuck it underneath and you give it a pull and you zip right through and out comes the windshield.
It sounds like every Saturday night. But is that stuff called Dum Dum? Is that what that is?
No, Dum Dum is used for other stuff. Dum Dum is used for other things. But, John, I'm going to say, I think that windshield was changed. And the reason I say that is, like you said, butyl should pull easy. And windshields were made to come out of the car.
this stuff that's in here is, it's literally like a rubber, pretty high durometer rubber that, from how taking it apart, I could see that they laid in a layer of urethane. Because I've had windshields replaced. Like, we had the ones replaced on the work vans. The guy pulls the windshield out, then he gets this gun, and he lays in a bead of urethane on the windshield. They do the deal with the suction cups, and boom. Yeah. And then you have to let it dry for a few hours, and it hardens up. This was literally like a relatively high durometer rubber gasketing that was glued to the body and the windshield. So 2 layers of some type of adhesive. And literally, as I was tearing this stuff out, I came across, there's a piece of white string, like a nylon string, inside this.
Wow.
And when I pulled it, it like kind of sheared it, which actually made it a little bit easier. But there was chunks of it everywhere. And it was quite easy. Once I used a Bernzomatic torch to kind of warm this stuff up, you could literally grab it and pull it, and it came off cleanly right down to the sheet metal well.
Right.
Wow.
And when I was peeling it, the body color, this car was that horrible late 70s brown.
Yeah. I can picture it. Dark brown.
Such a dark, terrible brown. Yeah, it's an ugly brown. And that's what's in the indentation in the well where the windows fit. So when I pulled this stuff out, there's brown there.
Right.
So I highly doubt if the windshield was pulled out, there would be some issues. You know what I'm saying with that? This is like the first time these things are coming out.
The reason I'm saying that is because with as hard as that was to get out, I remember when I had my 95 Caprice wagon, I had an accident with the car. I had a quarter panel accident. So I had the I was going to have the quarter panel replaced. And my friend Jeff, who does all my glass work, came to the house to take out that big rear side window. So the body shop didn't have to break it, And he fought with this thing and fought. And he says, you know what? He says, I'll do windshields any day. Windshields are easy because of the urethane that they use. He goes, these side windows aren't made to come out like a windshield is, so they use a different type of a sealer.
Right.
And it was black, but it really fought him. I mean, it took probably 2 to 3 times as long as it should have taken because it was just, his hands were like falling apart from using the tools.
It's
so
funny,
maybe,
John,
maybe they use that stuff is what I'm saying.
Could be. I don't know.
John, you mentioned the string. I recall that the way to remove a windshield was to get the string through the adhesive and out and in and out and kind of like use it as a saw. Yeah, I don't know what type of string
this was. This was I don't know, some type of cord that was actually embedded into this rubber gasketing.
So it literally ran the perimeter.
It ran the whole thing. It was part of this gasket. Like,
oh wow,
like the way they put cords in a tire. It just had something to do with the actual strengthening of this gasket in hot and cold weather. Keeps it from deforming. I don't know, but it took close to 3.5 to 4 hours to pull 2 windows, and then clean up around it.
Right.
Holy smokes.
Horrible. It was terrible. Well, and then the windshield broke in about 6 spots. It was one of those deals where I had the welding gloves on and I would use a pry bar and then get a piece and then kind of like roll the window.
Oh,
right. And then
that's fun.
You know how it's double layer with that clear plastic between it. So then I would roll it for a bit and then pull it and then grab the razor blade and cut the membrane. And then take that piece that I took off, boom. So there was literally shards of glass everywhere. I was vacuuming everything. It fell into the doors. It fell into the engine compartment, under the car. It was a mess, but I cleaned it up.
This just came down the wire. Buddy, maybe he should be unnamed, who has a brown car, in fact. It's a nice, beautiful brown Roadrunner. Says, he doesn't like brown. I can't believe it. He said there's actually a brown car Facebook page.
Oh my God!
I guess dedicated just to the love of brown cars. So,
well, there are some good browns, but I know which one. I know which one John's talking
GM
about.
brown was like this mousy,
It was a muddy brown.
It's terrible. There's there's nothing to love about that particular color.
Oh, don't get me wrong. There's some Chrysler products that have some strange greens.
Yeah.
I mean, there's one particular hue of green on early 70s Chrysler products. We used to call it ribbit green or frog green.
Yeah.
There used to be those as well. So, just to spread the cheer around.
Yeah, when you take a look at this car and you see the color, and you could tell it was General Motors like last ditch scream at here I am, I'm a performance car, please love me.
Yeah. The Brown Car Appreciation Society.
Oh my God!
Amazing.
On Facebook. Wow.
So, what color are you going to paint it, John? You going to paint
it'll be painted exactly like the original 1970, which was a Corvette white with 3 different tones of blue striping.
Wow, very 80s look.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Well, both of them are very 80s look, and trust me, I'm not making any apologies for it.
No,
I don't care.
Our good friend Billy G just said he is a burnished brown '69 Camaro fan, but the Camaro brown wasn't. It was different. That was a nicer color.
First gen was nice. It actually had a metal flake. This is just a flat brown.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
Yeah,
I'm still trying to picture the license plate. No apologies. I'm trying to spell that out in 8 digits.
How do you fit that?
Yeah. No
European plate.
Yeah, right. Exactly. There's the name for the car.
Photographs of the 70 version also on those pages.
Mm-hmm. Well, people
when it was the 70
on this show because I'll give updates, and then if you have videos, I'm looking forward to the videos too. We should. We'll get them up and post them. But
there's a YouTube page, but there's only the one video right now.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Of me tearing apart the black car with my buddies.
And then, of course, people can come to Play It in Traffic on Thursday nights and stay up and hear all the goings on there, too. So I'm sure.
All the tomfoolery that's going on there.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty excited.
Yeah.
And it'll get done quickly.
Well, look,
I plan on having this thing in paint shortly after the new year, probably by February.
Yeah, it's better
really
inside on the couch doing nothing, Definitely.
Well, I have an extremely accelerated timeline on this car. We're picking up the quarter panels and the body panel and some other pieces that I found they need from the supplier, most likely this week coming up. And then once I finish tearing out the sheet metal, the tubs and the trunk floor, all the stuff that needs to be out of the way for my body guy to do his surgery. Then the car will go straight to the body shop. He says he'll have it for a week. And then when it comes back, I'll be installing, cut out the frame that's in the back and install a new rear frame. But it's pre-bent frame rails. It's real simple stuff. I'm not building a race car. And it'll get done quickly.
Wow. I'm just amazed at your timeline and the fact that you could stick to that, or at least have the confidence to stick to that, is monumental in itself. Because, I mean, I have that same timeline that you're talking about to install a clock in my dash. I mean, that's it. That's all you're going to get. I mean, hand up in the dashboard, two nuts, put a plug it in, done. That's it. Oh, February. Holy smokes.
Now, by the end of this week, this car will be completely gutted. The dashboard will be out, whatever wiring is in it. This guy that owned this car, I bought this from another person who said he was helping out the guy that owned it. He had gotten divorced and he ran into some bad times and needed some money. So this guy bought the car and just stuffed it in the back corner, and figured I'll sell it when I sell it. But at least I'm helping out another human being.
Sure.
So the guy that owned this, he's another guy that I would put as a guy that does rig work. There's literally a 3-phase electrical cable running from the headlight header panel into the car. It's not hooked into the fuse box yet, and I found a note of what color each wire corresponds to. And I swear to God,
gosh.
it's a 12 gauge 5 conductor cord that you buy in Lowe's or Home Depot. And then when you look at the front, he's got one of those wires is running to the headlights. One is going to the turn signals. It's not automotive wiring whatsoever.
That was his way of being slick to keep everything in one machine, I guess.
I mean, the only thing he's got going for him is the fact that it is stranded wire,
right,
as opposed to solid core.
Thank God for that, right?
But
that's a benefit.
So,
I can't believe some of the things that you've just said. I would have been running from these two cars screaming.
Well,
provenance aside,
when being a chassis guy, over the years, I have this really thick skin where
you've seen it all.
I can just envision the final product and not have a problem with stepping over the time bombs that have been laid in my path.
Right.
You know, I know what this car has to be, so I really don't care about what it is other than a few things. Does it still have the stock front frame, which is fine, which will get a couple of simple modifications, brake upgrade, tubular control arms to kind of modernize it. It's all about the body.
Yeah, you have the same disease. I call it a disease. You have the same disease as Ray has because you see the car finished.
Right.
And that's all you see. You see the car finished. I don't do that. I see the car as this.
What it is.
Right.
The end supports the means. You see
Ray, I'm sure.
Whatever you got to do to get there. It's like you hone in and say, I'm going to get there and forget about all of this.
Yeah, right. Ray is. I don't know if Ray told you about the Nomad, but I always laugh about the Nomad that Ray has because I always say every square inch of this car needs attention.
Yeah,
every single square inch of it, which would make me turn around and run as fast as I can away from it.
Yeah,
and you're telling me you have two of them.
Yes. But like I said, this one is a more simple build, and through some photographs, I was able to determine what's necessary, and this car is solid. The doors are in perfect condition. There's no rot, so I don't have to worry about messing with that. Same thing with the fenders.
All right.
Well, isn't that a relief?
I'll tell you what else is solid, fellas. We've burned an hour, and we're going to have to get out of here because Kim is coming in with Thunder Road. She's got Springsteen and the band packed up behind us. They're moving into crates and the amps now, so we got to get out of here. John, thanks for coming on with us today, and we'll
anytime
with your exploits. And Chris, we will come back next week and have more fun. And what do we always say?
You could admire our rear ends, but don't follow us home.
Right. So for Chassis John, for Chris Witzer, Ray Guarino saying, don't follow us home. We'll see you next week on 90.3 WHPC. See ya.